we just got our tax statement in. I live actually in St. Paul. And I'm looking, it says market value, a certain amount of dollars. It says taxable value, a certain dollar, after they do all the credits and all the other nonsense. And can you explain that that's not the market value that the house would get on the market, say, through a real estate agent, or if we went out to sell it, right?
That's a fantastic question, and there's a little bit of a science to that. I know that some cities are more, I'm not saying this to insult anybody. Some are closer to actual value. Some are basing the idea of having that city's taxes base that they have to collect every year. They spread it out amongst all of the owners, and so sometimes we get hung up on what is the value. They're just trying to make sure that you're paying your fair share according to what they think your value is amongst the community. So it's just a way for them to gauge what you'll pay. Now, when it gets into the other side of the taxation, I mean, it hurts you when you sell. If for an example, you think your house is worth $200,000, or in this case, luxury market, maybe it's $1 million, and the tax value is at $750,000. Even though there's no direct pending opinion on that, it is actually looked at by buyers. It's looked at by appraisers.
They'll use whatever they can to get it lower.
Well, I've recently had an appraiser say, well, you know, on Zillow they show this house is only worth $167. And I'm like, but did you look at Zillow? On Zillow they actually have that in the city of Andover they go 16% in value either way. That's published on Zillow. And I go, on that price of house, that's a lot of money. That could be swinging $40,000, you know. So what I would say is have a market analysis done if you're at that stage where you're thinking of selling. Otherwise, it's not that big of a deal to have a value if you're not planning on selling that, you know, doesn't favor your opinion.
Exactly. We fight that all the time, the tax value, because people think that, you know, sellers think, hey, my tax value is this, it should be worth this. And it's only worth what a buyer's willing to buy it for and the seller's willing to sell it for. Correct. Based on what else is sold out there.
651-989-9226. Text number, by the way, is 81807. Here's one. Will the high-end market in outlying burbs like Otsego ever fully rebound?
Well, that's a good question. I think the outer burbs are rebounding right now, specifically Otsego. Andy, you know that area.
Oh yeah, man, new construction up there is going crazy. But the thing is that there's a lot of the overflow from the banks and overdevelopment up there. I mean, a couple years ago they had over 800 lots in inventory. So the houses that were being sold were being built on, or the new construction were being built on foreclosed lots. So some of these lots were as low as $15,000, and that goes so far because you get so much more house when you can buy the lots for less. So the market's coming back, but when you say luxury, okay, and Chris, you have more experience on this than I do, but luxury, like you said, are they going up there for a reason? Are they going up there because you're on the river? Are they going up there because you have 200 beautiful acres? There's reasons why people will travel, and they will bring their money with them, I think. And so, yes, I would say there's more opportunities in the near future.
It sounds as long as they have internet access, they're fine.
I guess so.
They spend a lot of time on it.
I want to know what they're looking at, though.
But it's true, too. You know, we were talking to Justin Jurkovich here during the break, and he's not just a mortgage guy. This guy knows real estate, too. He's pretty smart. But we were talking about, you know, how people are, you know, combining cabins, you know, with their homestead. And it's kind of saying, you know what, let's forget about the cabin. We'll just buy something here because everyone's so busy and they're around. So let's just kind of all put it into one. You know?
Yeah.
And there's a question.
Speaking of cabin, they have a cabin with a new addition, have bathroom which is original. Should that be remodeled before placing the cabin up for sale?
Andy, what do you think?
You know, it depends on if, you know, in the new addition, if there's only one bathroom in the entire cabin, I would suggest that is probably one of your better returns. But what I'll say for you is this. Your cabin will become more desirable. It may not necessarily fetch you more money, but you may sell faster.
Might not, and you know what, and that's the other thing, we go in and we tell people, hey, if you do this, you should be able to get this. No one ever knows because we can't sell it with it fixed and without it fixed and to be able to find out the truth. But what you said there, I think, is a real key, is that it's going to return you more. I mean, even if it was like, hey, we put it on, it's $250, and we did the bathroom. Say if we didn't do the bathroom, we only might get $230.
Yeah.
But if we did the bathroom, hey, we might get up to that $245 kind of range.
Yeah, and Hanley Wood's magazine publication service. They do Builder Magazine, Remodeling Magazine. Every year they do the cost versus return report. And if anybody wants that, we actually have a digital copy of that too for those kind of improvements that we could email out to anybody interested. They'll show you, like, for example, again, year after year after year, the number one best return is on a front door, making sure that front door is new, and it's a small item, so of course it's going to look better on the return. Kitchens, bathrooms, they are not at 100% return. They used to be a couple years ago. Now they're down in that. Some of them are 60 to 80%, depending on what you're doing. If you're putting $15,000 into a bathroom, or you're putting $100,000 into a bathroom, makes a difference on the return there too.
You know, when you're talking to that front door, what people are saying, that's first impression. And first impression is the most important thing, you know, if people got to know that, wow, hey, I like this place, so.
Here's one for Justin. When buying a home, can a couple use both of their incomes toward the amount available to purchase the home, like the amount available to make toward a monthly payment?
As long as both parties are on the actual note itself, that is not an issue. Assuming both qualify equally, and what I mean by that is based upon their credit characteristics and that they've had the same criteria that need to be met. For instance, you have to have 2 years of job experience in order to actually be on a loan, so, or coming out of a post-secondary type education. So most of the time the answer is yes.
All right, should we grab another one, another text message?
Let's do it.
All right, I live in western Wisconsin. I've been trying to sell our 12-year-old split level. We have had 18 showings. Is western Wisconsin a slow market now, or do we really need to start looking at making a bigger drop in the price we're asking?
A lot of variables there to answer. What I would say is, you know, if you've had 18 showings, you should have had an offer by now. I mean, Chris and I talk about this all the time, where my magic number here in the Twin Cities Metro is if I, you know, have 10 showings and we don't have an offer, there's something off, either, you know, price, condition, or location. And sometimes you have to adjust, and you can't, obviously, unless you're in a mobile home, you can't change the location, but you can change the price and you can change the condition. So read your feedback, take it to heart, you know, and let it be constructive, meaning that, you know, if everybody says they hate the colors, paint's cheap, and also now the next buyer might come through and love it, so.
Totally. All right, hey, let's get back to, you know, those luxury homes that we were talking about, financing those, you know, and I think there's a few schools of thought on that. Some people do. We see it a lot that they pay cash for them, but others need to be able to do it. Now, there's some interesting programs. A lot of people think once you get into non-conforming loan limits, which is above 417,000. So you could buy something for 600, put 183,000 down, and you're at a conforming loan limit.
Correct.
Okay. So what about jumbo type pricing? What are you seeing out there right now?
Well, in terms of the jumbo market, it is a little bit different. You've got some different things that we have to look at. The properties are viewed, because a lot of times, you know, let's face it, if you've got a $24 million home, we don't have a lot of comparables that we're going to be able to get out from the comp. So the collateral is going to be looked at and scrutinized a little bit more. The appraisal is going to be reviewed probably once or twice on a property like that. But let's just take, for an example, $1 million home. A lot of times people are told that they have to put anywhere from 20 to 25% down in that category, and that's really not always the case. We've got kind of two things that we look at. First is the loan to value. So on $1 million home, we can go up to as high as 90% loan to value. That's the maximum loan to value. But then what happens is you also run into what we refer to as the maximum loan limit, which on $1 million type, on a 90% loan to value, the maximum will allow to lend is $850,000. So even though the property's at $1 million and the LTV meets, we're still only going to be able to lend $850,000. So at that point, it becomes 15% down is what you're required, because of the fact that we're going to max that loan amount out at $850,000. So you've got different parameters there, and then some of the other things, the credit scores tend to go up a little bit. They require a little bit higher credit score. We typically look at the 680 range to get to that 90%. You have to be 680 or better. And then your debt to income ratio is going to be looked at and scrutinized a little bit more. We look at 43% maximum debt to income ratio, so 43% of your gross income can go towards your property taxes and insurance and interest.
The whole payment.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, that's, I mean, that whole jumbo financing, as far as rates and stuff like that too, they're pretty darn good right now.
You know, believe it or not, Chris, there are times when your jumbo loan rates on 30-year fixed are actually cheaper than your conforming at times. So, I mean,
It was interesting.
Yeah, it really depends where you categorize in. I know, like, for instance, say you've got $1 million property and you're looking at 65% loan to value, you're probably going to be looking at a better rate than you would on a conforming style loan. Even if you, say, had a $200,000 house at 65% loan to value, you would still wind up with the better rate on a 65% LTV.
Yeah, one of the agents that works with us, they're figuring out a way in which to stay into the jumbo rates for how much money they wanted to get out of the mortgage insurance, but they want to go jumbo rates. They were thinking about paying more for the house just to keep those rates. It was a benefit for them. It's crazy.
Well,
God
it's goofy
bless America.
When you get into those
Jeez.
situations, I mean, it can be as goofy as just, maybe, looking at it, and here's where having a good mortgage professional on your side can show you that analysis that maybe, as ridiculous as it sounds, paying an extra $3,000 or $4,000 or $10,000 may actually save you money in the long run.
Right.
And maybe it's something that you're just asking, you're increasing your sales price and then asking the seller to come back and pay towards closing costs or something else that you've worked into the purchase agreement.
Exactly. Be creative.
Here